evil and the darkness that is within. Socrates, the famous philosopher, wrote, "There is only one good, knowledge, and only one evil, ignorance." Over the years, over the centuries maybe, philosophers, sages, teachers have spoken and written much about evil. Some have, of course, condemned it, while others have attempted to be compassionate and understanding of those whom they have judged as wicked. But very few have endeavored to explain the function of this so-called evil in our world. The universe does not recognize any event as evil, even though it appears to us, so strongly appears to us, that evil does function in our world today. None of us can deny that there is corruption, that there is dishonesty, violence, bloodshed. They do exist. And yet, the paradox is that the universe does not recognize any event as evil. So let us understand this clearly. In a world of duality, in order to recognize, in order to acknowledge the presence of light, the presence of spirit, the feature of evil needs to exist. We live in this world of duality. And because of this duality, if all events appeared as only light, the irony is that we would then not be conscious of light. Those who undertake missions that seem to us as wicked often do so in order to bring forth an opposing force due to which light can be universally recognized by us. There is nothing in the universe whose purpose is not to spread light. These are the words of my cosmic master, JadeFire, the Lord Sananda. There is nothing in the universe whose purpose is not to spread light. This means that all that exists in the universe, yes, even that which we term as evil, has only one purpose. And that one purpose is the spreading of the light. You may well question how, just as I questioned how when JadeFire said these words to me. Such acts and events that are judged as wicked or bad or wrong or evil help us to re-evaluate our own behaviors, patterns, inner compulsions, through such re-evaluation, we emphasize and re-emphasize the choices that we have made and are continuing to make, the choices that endeavor to embrace and serve humanity. Unknowingly, you and I are constantly asking ourselves this question: what do I choose when we either personally encounter or become aware of an event that we judge as evil? We ask ourselves, if not this action, what is the action that I would choose? In a certain circumstance, if not this reaction, what would my response be? And by reviewing thus, we begin to know ourselves better. We begin to understand why we have made certain choices. Of course, there is the other side as well, where we are able to see the evil that is outside of us. And if we are very honest, we are able to see the shadow of that evil within us as well. And here again is a moment of tremendous reviewal. Why is this shadow present within me? What choices are available to me to A, not act out from this shadow, and B, what are the choices that I need to make now in order to eliminate this shadow? So you see, evil has performed its task of spreading light, of urging people to spread light. When we understand this, that even that which we call evil is present only to spread light, it then becomes easier to accept why the universe, our masters, our guides, our angels, why they do not scorn and disown those who engage in evil. Because the universe and the cosmic energies, they know that ultimately the purpose of light is served by all. Certainly, the methods employed are very different as black and white. But the end is the same. If you call yourself a light worker, what are you endeavoring to do through your words, your thoughts, your actions? You are endeavoring to spread the light. Evil does exactly the same. By the shadow that it casts, by the darkness that it appears to spread through its words, through its actions, through its thoughts and beliefs, it instigates within us a response that almost compels us to look within ourselves, to understand ourselves, to look at the darkness of our own psyche and to gain mastery over that. These acts of evil strike fear in us. But with that fear also comes this acknowledgement. This is not what I choose. This is not what I choose to be. This is not what I choose to spread. This is not how I choose to act. So each time you encounter evil, through one person or many, you are reviewing yourself. There is a subconscious process that starts within you. And the subconscious process is twofold. One is the reviewal of your own darkness, and the other is the reaffirmation of the choices that you have made and are continuing to make. The reason why evil is condemned is because we do not recognize this vital purpose, the purpose of spreading the light. Evil is also condemned because it forces us to address the darkness that lies within us. That darkness that we often do not wish to acknowledge, that darkness that we do not wish to heed, that darkness that we want to hide from, we want to run away from, that we would like to deny. When we come face to face with the evil that is outside, the subconscious reaction, the surge of the dark energy is so strong that we are unable to deny it, but we try hard to deny it nevertheless by condemning the evil that is outside. So let us turn our attention to that inner darkness. That inner darkness that is both the cause and the effect of our emotions. Much has been spoken by many spiritual teachers, by teachers of religion, by teachers of morals and ethics, by philosophers. Much has been spoken about hatred and rage and violence. But, in my opinion, guilt and shame can be considered as two very dark emotions that lie within the human heart. And yes, I admit they do not appear to be as dark as hatred and rage and violence. But I do believe that they are as dark. Guilt is the most commonly used weapon of manipulation. Children are made to feel guilty by their parents, by the teachers, by adults, even by their peers sometimes. And in small ways that very often parents do not even recognize. For example, why aren't you finishing your meal when there are so many hungry children in the world today? What is the emotion that is being engendered in the child? It is guilt. Why are you not taking part in your father's business that he has spent his whole life setting up for you, and now you are turning your back upon this business? What are you engendering in that young adult? It is guilt. Guilt is often the simplest way to manipulate another. Parents and teachers, caregivers are very serious offenders of this. And as children grow up, they begin to use guilt just as effectively as the parents who taught them how to use guilt to manipulate. How often do we stop and take stock of the role we have played in engendering this emotion of guilt in the hearts and minds of others? Guilt can manifest in so many different ways. For example, the inability to say no, in violent rebelliousness, in self-sacrifice, in self-negation. All of this is a manifestation of guilt. Lack of self-love is a huge outcome of the guilt that is within. When the universe opens its doors of success and happiness and abundance, there are some who are so burdened by this guilt that they carry that without their being aware of it, they live with the resultant belief, I do not deserve this. And so instead of opening their arms and accepting the divine gifts, they in fact attract into their lives events that sabotage their fulfillment. They are unable to see that the lack of success, the lack of happiness, the failed relationships actually stem from their own burden of guilt. This guilt that makes them feel so undeserving, so unworthy, that they send out an energetic message to the universe, I do not deserve to be happy, I do not deserve to be loved, I do not deserve to be healthy. On our journey of self-awareness, we come face to face with the guilt that we harbor. And the current times that we are living in is one such significant time period when we must address the guilt that is within. We must forgive ourselves. We have to stop denying the guilt, because the guilt will not just go away, but the joy of life certainly shall. That which we call evil within us, whether they have been actions that we have performed, whether there have been non-actions, whether these words of so-called evil have been words that we have spoken to others, hurt others with, we have to understand that that evil action, that evil word had its role. It played its part. that the universe has not judged you or me as evil because of those actions and those words. The universe has understood the purpose of those actions, the reason for those words. It is ironic that we pray to this God that we believe in to forgive us, but we are unable to forgive ourselves. And the time has come when forgiveness of self is now of paramount importance. The less you forgive yourself, the more unforgiving shall you be of the so-called evil that you see around you, and thus the ignorance shall continue to strangulate you. Remember the words of Socrates, there is only one evil, and that is ignorance. Spirit cannot hurt another. Spirit cannot be anything but authentic. Spirit cannot harm another. But when guilt forms a hard, dry crust over the radiance of spirit, the ego-driven personality resorts to violence and cheating and deception. But even through all of this, the truth, the authenticity of spirit remains. However contemptible the action or the word, the radiance of spirit can be hidden, but can never be corrupted. As dark as guilt is shame. Shame springs from the deepest root of unworthiness. When the guilt has done its task so successfully, the inner being considers itself completely unworthy. And whereas guilt is a tool of manipulation, shame is the reason for self-destruction. Each time we eat what we know is harming us, each time we consume an intoxicant, an addictive stimulant that we know harms this temple that we call our body, we act from a space of self-destruction. Self-destruction that is caused by shame. There are those who consistently punish themselves by repeatedly seeking out or remaining in abusive relationships because they believe that they are not worthy of anything better. Guilt and shame are often camouflaged by the overcompensation of self-aggrandizement, showing yourself to be bigger and better than you believe you are. Often guilt and shame seek validation through actions whose purpose is to get you more followers, to get you more flattery, to enhance your vanity. This is all an overcompensation for the guilt and the shame. Until such time as guilt and shame dwells in the human heart, evil shall continue to be present in the world. If you wish, as a worker of the light, as an adherent of the light, as a follower of the light, if you wish to free this world, to liberate this world from evil, you have to first understand why evil exists, and then apply that understanding to yourself and turn the eye of forgiveness upon yourself, thus eliminating the shadows within. As the inner darkness is replaced by light, and the radiance of spirit is once again allowed to shine through, the gentleness of forgiveness, the acceptance of love shall automatically be turned outwards. Nothing heals quicker and more potently than love. But when you cannot love yourself, you cannot love another. Forgiveness is the key. Love is the means. But before the key can be turned, before love can be the force that is applied, knowledge must prevail. Knowledge that there is no evil in the world that does not spread the light. Knowledge that every human being is a carrier of the light. And when this carrier of the light does not allow the light to shine through actions and words, there is a deep well of pain, of guilt, of shame, that then bursts out as hatred, as rage, as violence. Forgive yourself, love yourself, and you shall be able to be one of the driving forces that shall be able to eliminate evil from the world. Because when you forgive yourself and love yourself, you shall forgive and love all. And when someone is forgiven, when someone is accepted, when someone is understood, when someone is loved, it is only then that they allow the light that they carry to shine through. It is only then that they spread the light by following the path of radiance and not following the heavy path of darkness.